Tom Reed stared at the alien ship hanging in Earth's orbit through his old telescope. Unlike the sleek vessels shown in movies, this one looked more like a rough crystal, its surface catching sunlight in strange patterns. As Earth's leading sleep researcher, he never expected to be called to a military base to help deal with first contact. "Dr. Reed, they're ready for you," said Major Adams, a stern-faced woman who had been his guide since he arrived at the base 3 days ago. The meeting room was packed with military officials and scientists from around the world. On the main screen, a tall alien stood motionless. Its blue-tinted skin seemed to shimmer under the lights, and its 4 eyes blinked in an unsettling pattern. "We face a problem," the alien spoke through the translator. "Your species sleeps." Tom couldn't help but laugh, earning sharp looks from everyone in the room. "That's not a problem," he said. "That's just how humans work." The alien's upper eyes narrowed. "You misunderstand. In our 1,000 years of space exploration, we have never encountered a species that willingly falls unconscious for hours each day. It is disturbing." The room fell silent. Tom leaned forward, his interest piqued. "What do you mean? How do your people rest?" "We enter brief periods of low activity while remaining aware. Your sleep makes no sense. You become helpless, defenseless. Yet you've survived and thrived. We need to understand why." That's when Tom realized why he had been called. It wasn't just about explaining sleep, it was about understanding humanity's greatest overlooked ability. Over the next few hours, Tom explained the basics of human sleep cycles, REM sleep, and dreams. The alien listeners became more agitated with each detail. "You're saying," one of them interrupted, "that humans not only become unconscious but also experience vivid hallucinations during this state? And this is normal?" "We call them dreams," Tom corrected. "And yes, they're essential for our mental health, learning, and creativity." The aliens shared looks that Tom couldn't interpret. "Show us," they demanded. That's how Tom found himself setting up a sleep study like none before. They converted part of the base into a sleep lab, with volunteers hooked up to EEG machines while alien observers watched in fascination. The first breakthrough came 3 days later. Tom was reviewing the brain scan data when he noticed something extraordinary. The human dreamers were generating energy patterns that the alien sensors could detect, patterns that looked remarkably similar to what their ships used for faster-than-light travel. "This is impossible," the lead alien scientist said, its skin changing color with excitement. "The energy signature matches our fold space calculations perfectly. But we need massive machines to generate these patterns. You humans do it naturally, in your sleep." Tom sat back, stunned. "Are you saying human dreams somehow connect to the same energy you use for space travel?" "Not just connect," the alien replied. "Your dream state generates natural fold space fields. We believed we were advanced for creating technology to duplicate this effect. But your species, you're born with this ability. You simply never realized it." The implications hit Tom like a truck. Humanity's habit of sleeping, which the aliens initially saw as a weakness, might be their greatest strength. Every night, billions of humans unknowingly touched the fabric of spacetime itself. But that was just the beginning. As more data came in, they discovered something even more remarkable. The human brain during deep sleep wasn't just generating these fields, it was processing information from them. Dreams weren't random firings of neurons, they were glimpses of other realities, other possibilities. Your species has been naturally quantum computing while sleeping, the alien explained. Each dream is a calculation, exploring possible futures and parallel realities. We built vast computers to do this. You do it every night without even trying. The military leaders in the room straightened up, suddenly very interested. Are you saying we can weaponize this? Tom shook his head. I think we're missing the point. This isn't about weapons. We've just discovered that humanity's supposed weakness, our need for sleep, is actually our greatest strength. We're natural explorers of both space and possibility, and we've been doing it every night since our species began. The alien leader stepped forward. This changes everything. Our people have spent millennia trying to understand the universe through machines and technology. Your species does it naturally, through what you call dreams. We don't need to teach you our science, we need to learn from you. As Tom looked at the data streaming across his screens, he realized this was just the beginning. Humanity was about to wake up to its true potential, and the universe would never be the same. Major Adams looked at the readings with wide eyes. So what happens next? Tom smiled. Now we learn how to do it while we're awake. The aliens shifted uncomfortably. One of them spoke up, its voice carrying a note of worry. If humans can access fold space while unconscious, imagine what they might do once they learn to control it consciously. And that was exactly what Tom intended to find out. The most overlooked human superpower wasn't just sleeping or dreaming, it was their natural ability to touch the fundamental forces of the universe itself. An ability they had dismissed as mere dreams for thousands of years. As he looked at the night sky through the base's window, Tom wondered how many other human abilities they had overlooked simply because they seemed too ordinary to question. Perhaps it was time for humanity to wake up and discover what they could really do. The first phase of testing would begin tomorrow. Tom couldn't help but smile at the irony. Humanity's greatest adventure would start with something as simple as taking a nap. 2 weeks after the discovery, the military base had transformed into something between a sleep clinic and a space research center. Tom Reed walked through the newly set-up Dream Labs, checking on the sleeping volunteers who were making history with every nap they took. Dr. Reed, called out Jack Wilson, one of the younger scientists on the team. His usual calm face showed clear excitement. "You need to see this right away." Tom followed Jack to the main monitoring station. On the screens, waves of blue and green energy flowed from a sleeping volunteer's brain scan. But something was different this time, the patterns were stronger, more organized. "Meet Lisa Thompson," Jack said, pointing to the sleeping woman. "She's our first successful conscious dreamer." Tom leaned closer to the monitors. "She can control it?" "Better than that," Jack grinned. "She can remember everything. The fold space calculations, the quantum patterns, all of it. And she's solving complex spacetime equations while sleeping, equations that would take our best computers months to process." The alien observers in the room moved closer, their skin shifting to deep purple, a sign of intense interest that the humans had learned to recognize. "This is unexpected," the lead alien scientist, who they now called Blue, at his own request for a simple name, said. "Your species is adapting far more quickly than we predicted." Lisa began to stir, and Tom rushed to her bedside. Her eyes opened slowly, showing no sign of the usual sleep confusion. Instead, she smiled. "It worked," she said, sitting up. "I saw them, Dr. Reed. I saw other Earths, other possibilities. And I understood the math behind it all." She grabbed a notebook and began writing complex equations that looked similar to the aliens' fold space formulas. Blue examined her calculations, all four eyes widening. "These are correct. And there are improvements here that even we hadn't considered." The base commander, General Mills, who had been quietly watching from the corner, stepped forward. "Can this help us build our own ships? Our own fold space technology?" "Better," Lisa said, still writing. "We don't need ships, at least not the way they build them. Our minds can generate the fields naturally. We just need to learn how to focus them." Tom felt a shiver run down his spine. "Are you saying humans could potentially travel through space, without ships?" "Not exactly," Lisa explained, drawing a diagram. "We'd need protection from space itself, but we could create the fold space fields with our minds. The ships would just need to be shells, not the massive engines the aliens use. Blue's skin rippled with colors. This would change everything. The energy requirements for our ships are enormous. If humans could generate the fields naturally, we could explore the galaxy together, Tom finished. Your technology protecting our natural abilities. But not everyone was excited about the breakthrough. Tom noticed some of the alien observers moving away, their skin showing patterns he'd never seen before. Is something wrong? He asked Blue. They are concerned, Blue admitted. Your species is showing abilities that took us thousands of years to develop through technology. Some worry about what else humans might be capable of. General Mills laughed. They're afraid of us? We're just learning to do what babies have done naturally since the beginning of time. Exactly, Blue said. That is what worries them. The next few days brought more breakthroughs. Other volunteers began showing signs of conscious control over their dream states. Each one brought back different pieces of the puzzle, mathematical formulas, physics concepts, and glimpses of possible futures. But Lisa remained the star student. She could now enter the dream state almost at will, staying conscious enough to direct her explorations while still accessing the quantum fields that made it all possible. It's like learning to walk, she tried to explain to Tom. We've always had the muscles, we just never knew how to use them properly. These dream muscles have been exercising every night of our lives, we just didn't know what they were for. Tom watched as she demonstrated, her brain scans showing controlled pulses of fold space energy. Can you teach others? I think so, she nodded. It's not about learning something new, it's about understanding what we've always been able to do. Like explaining to someone how to wiggle their ears. The ability was always there, they just needed to find the right mental muscles. The alien scientists were particularly interested in how humans could maintain consciousness during these states. Their own attempts at accessing fold space directly had always failed, their minds unable to process the quantum information without massive computer assistance. Your brains evolved to do this, Blue explained. You developed this ability alongside your consciousness. Our species tried to add it later through technology. The difference is like the difference between growing wings naturally and building an airplane? Tom suggested. Exactly. Both achieve flight, but one is natural and integrated, while the other is artificial and limited. But with each new discovery came new concerns. The military wanted to weaponize the ability. The aliens worried about humans spreading across the galaxy. And the public, who still knew nothing about any of this, continued to sleep each night, unknowingly touching the fabric of spacetime with their dreams. Tom spent a long night in his office, thinking about what all this meant. Humanity had spent its entire history looking up at the stars, never realizing they touched them every night in their sleep. They had dreamed of space travel while actually traveling through space in their dreams. A knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. Lisa stood there, looking troubled. We need to talk, she said. There's something else I found in the dream space. Something the aliens haven't told us about. Tom felt his heart rate increase. What is it? We're not the first species they've found with this ability, she said quietly. Just the first ones to survive it. And with those words, Tom realized that humanity's greatest adventure was about to become something much more complicated, and potentially much more dangerous. Tom Reed sat in his office, staring at Lisa's research notes while his coffee grew cold. The revelation about other species hit him hard, but what troubled him more was the growing pile of evidence she had collected during her dream space explorations. Show me everything again, he said to Lisa, who sat across from him, dark circles under her eyes showing her lack of regular sleep. I found traces of them in the fold space, she began, spreading out her drawings. When we dream, we're not just touching the present spacetime. We can see echoes of everyone who's ever accessed these fields, including the others who came before us. The door opened, and Blue entered, his skin a pale gray, a color they'd never seen on him before. "You know," he said. It wasn't a question. "Why didn't you tell us?" Tom demanded, standing up. "How many species were there?" Blue's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. 3. The Dreamweavers, the Mind Sailors, and the Star Dancers. Each one discovered their natural ability to access fold space through their equivalent of dreams. Each one showed incredible promise. "What happened to them?" Lisa asked, though her face suggested she already knew. "They burned out," Blue said simply. "Their minds couldn't handle the constant connection to fold space. They began losing their grip on regular spacetime. Their civilizations collapsed within years of discovering their abilities." Tom felt a chill run down his spine. "But humans have been dreaming forever. We've been touching fold space every night for our entire history." "Exactly," Blue's skin shifted to a brighter shade. "That's why we've been watching your species so carefully. You're different." The others tried to force the connection, to stay permanently linked to fold space. But humans naturally disconnect. You sleep, you dream, you touch the universe, and then you wake up. Lisa leaned forward. "The sleeping isn't our weakness at all, is it? It's our safety valve." "Yes," Blue confirmed. "Your brains evolved a natural rhythm, awake in normal space, asleep in fold space." The others couldn't understand the importance of disconnecting. They thought more connection meant more power. General Mills chose that moment to enter the office, followed by Jack Wilson, who carried a stack of new brain scan readings. "Dr. Reed," the general said, "we've got 20 more volunteers showing conscious control now. We're ready to begin the next phase of testing." Tom shared a worried look with Lisa. "We need to stop the tests." "Stop?" The general's face hardened. "We're making incredible progress. The military applications alone will kill us all if we're not careful," Lisa interrupted. She quickly explained about the other species, watching the color drain from the general's face. Jack spread out his new readings on the desk. "Actually, this explains something we've been seeing in the data. Look at the brain patterns of our long-term volunteers." The scans showed subtle changes, nothing dramatic, but there was a clear pattern developing. The volunteers who spent the most time consciously accessing fold space were showing signs of neural strain. "But Lisa's been doing more than anyone," Tom pointed out. "Why isn't she affected?" "Because," Lisa said slowly, realization dawning on her face, "I've been sleeping normally between sessions. Real sleep, not conscious dream state. I only access fold space for short periods." Blue's skin rippled with approval. The first volunteer to succeed was also the one who naturally followed her species' safety protocols. General Mills paced the room. "So we can't use this power continuously." "Fine. We work in shifts, rotate teams." "It's more than that," Tom interrupted. "We need to completely rethink how we approach this ability. We've been trying to weaponize something that's actually a gift for exploration and understanding." Lisa nodded, pulling out more of her notes. "In the fold space, I've seen what the other species were trying to do. They wanted to build weapons, to force their way through spacetime. But that's not what this power is for." "What do you mean?" Jack asked. "Dreams aren't about control or force," she explained. "They're about understanding, processing, connecting. When we sleep, we're not just recharging our bodies, we're syncing with the universe itself." Blue moved to the window, staring at the alien ship still hanging in orbit. "My people spent thousands of years trying to understand fold space, building bigger and more powerful machines. But we never achieved what you humans do naturally every night. Because you were trying to conquer it," Tom realized. while we've been dancing with it all along. The implications were enormous. Humanity's approach to space travel, to understanding the universe, would have to be completely different from what anyone had imagined. Not massive ships forcing their way through space-time, but smaller vessels working in harmony with human dreamers who could guide them through the folds of reality. So what do we do now? General Mills asked, looking less like a military commander and more like a concerned human being. We learn from the past, Tom said firmly. We respect our limits, work with our natural cycles, and most importantly, we keep dreaming. Lisa added, and we share this knowledge carefully. If we try to push too fast, we'll end up like the others. Blue's skin showed a new color pattern, one they'd never seen before. Perhaps this is why we found each other. My people have the technology to protect and support you, while humans have the natural ability to guide us all through fold space. Together we can do what neither of us could do alone, Tom finished. As if to emphasize the point, alarms began blaring throughout the base. Jack rushed to his monitoring station, his eyes widening at the readings. Something's happening, he announced. The fold space fields around Earth, they're changing. Lisa closed her eyes for a moment, her face peaceful despite the chaos. When she opened them again, she was smiling. It's not just us anymore, she said. All around the planet, people are starting to dream more consciously. Human minds are naturally beginning to wake up to what they've always been able to do. Tom looked at the readings, then at Blue. Is this what happened with the others? No, Blue said, his skin showing what they now recognized as awe. The others forced their awakening. This is natural. Your entire species is evolving together, keeping its natural rhythms while expanding its awareness. General Mills stared at the global readings. So what happens next? Next, Tom said, we make sure we do this right. We protect our dreamers, respect our limits, and most importantly. He looked at each person in the room, we remember that sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is simply rest and let our minds touch the stars. As if in response, new data began flowing across the screens, dreams from around the world showing patterns that matched fold space calculations perfectly. Humanity was awakening to its true potential, not through force or control, but through the simple act that they had been doing all along. They just had to make sure they didn't lose themselves in the process. 1 month after the discovery of humanity's dream power, the world had changed in ways nobody could have predicted. Tom Reed stood in the newly built International Dream Center, watching hundreds of screens showing sleep pattern data from around the globe. It's happening everywhere, Jack said, pointing to the worldwide readings. People are starting to have what they call special dreams. They don't know what it means yet, but they're touching fold space naturally. Lisa walked in, looking better rested than she had in weeks. Following their discovery about sleep's importance, she had started a strict schedule of normal rest between her conscious dream sessions. The first public training center opens tomorrow, she announced. We're ready to start teaching people how to safely use their abilities. Tom nodded, but worry showed on his face. And the problems? 3 more cases of burnout, Jack reported quietly. All of them tried to force constant connection, just like we warned against. They're recovering now that we've got them back on normal sleep schedules. Blue and 2 other alien scientists entered the room, their skin showing patterns of both excitement and concern. We've finished analyzing the global data, Blue said. The process is spreading faster than we expected. On the main screen, a map showed dots of light where people had started experiencing conscious dreams. The lights were spreading like stars appearing at dusk, each one representing someone awakening to their natural abilities. We need to release the safety protocols now, Tom decided. We can't keep this secret any longer. General Mills, who had become more of an ally since learning the truth about the previous species, agreed. The president has authorized a worldwide announcement. It's time people understood what's really happening when they sleep. The next day, Tom found himself standing before cameras, broadcasting to billions of people around the world. He took a deep breath and began. For all of human history, we thought dreams were just our minds playing with memories and ideas. We were wrong. Every night, when we sleep, we touch the fabric of space-time itself. This isn't science fiction, it's how humans have always worked. We just never understood it before. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Social media exploded with people sharing their experiences. Many had already noticed their dreams becoming more vivid, more meaningful. Some had even started making discoveries in their sleep, solving problems that had stumped them while awake. But not all the news was good. Reports came in of people trying to force the connection, staying awake for days while attempting to maintain constant contact with Fold Space. The results were exactly what they had feared. "We need to reach them," Lisa insisted, watching footage of a group claiming they could transcend sleep. "They don't understand the danger." Tom agreed. They quickly organized a second broadcast, this time with Lisa demonstrating both the proper and dangerous ways to use the ability. She showed how natural sleep remained essential, how forcing the connection could damage both mind and body. "Think of it like breathing," she explained to the cameras. "You don't try to hold your breath forever just because oxygen is good for you. You breathe in, then out. You sleep, then wake. That rhythm is what keeps us alive, keeps us sane, keeps us human." The message seemed to work. The panic began to settle. Training centers opened around the world, teaching people how to work with their natural cycles rather than against them. Blues people helped too, sharing their technology to help humans better understand and protect themselves while exploring Fold Space. They created special rooms that could monitor dream states and warn of dangerous patterns. But the biggest breakthrough came from an unexpected source: children. "Their patterns are different," Jack announced one morning, showing Tom the data from a children's sleep study. "They're not just touching Fold Space, they're playing with it." Tom watched the readings in amazement. Where adults tended to approach Fold Space with purpose and effort, children naturally flowed in and out of it during their dreams. They weren't trying to control it or use it, they were simply experiencing it. "Of course," Lisa said, studying the children's brain patterns. "They haven't learned to force things yet. They're still working with their natural rhythms." Blue's skin showed patterns of deep thought. "Perhaps this is why your species survived where others failed. Your young ones teach you how to dream properly." The discovery led to a complete change in their approach. Instead of training people to control their dreams, they began teaching them to rediscover their natural dream state, the way they dreamed as children. Results improved immediately. People stopped trying to force prolonged connections and started working with their natural sleep cycles. The number of burnout cases dropped to 0. And then something remarkable happened. During a routine monitoring session, they detected a pattern they had never seen before. A group of dreamers, all following their natural rhythms, had unconsciously synchronized their dream states. The resulting Fold Space field was stable enough to be used for actual space travel. "This is it," Tom breathed, watching the pattern hold steady. "This is how we were meant to do it." Blue's skin flickered with excitement. Multiple dreamers, each maintaining their natural sleep cycle, creating a stable field together. No single mind bears too much strain. The implications were enormous. Humanity wouldn't have to choose between normal life and space travel. They could work in shifts, some sleeping naturally while others maintained conscious connection. Trading off to keep the field stable while everyone got the rest they needed. Lisa smiled as she watched the pattern grow stronger. "We're not meant to do this alone. Just like everything else humans have achieved, we do it better together." The first test flight was scheduled for the following week. A small ship, built with alien technology but powered by human dreamers working in natural shifts, would attempt to cross the solar system in a single jump. As Tom helped with the preparations, he couldn't help but smile at the irony. Humans had spent centuries trying to conquer space, building bigger rockets and more powerful engines. But in the end, their path to the stars had been there all along, waiting in their dreams. "Ready for tomorrow?" Lisa asked, finding him lost in thought. "Almost," he replied. "Just one thing left to do." "What's that?" Tom checked his watch and smiled. "Get a good night's sleep." The test ship hung in Earth's orbit, looking tiny against the backdrop of space. Unlike the massive alien vessels, this one was small and simple, a blend of alien protection technology and human design, built to work with dream-generated fold space fields. Tom Reed stood in the control center, watching the first team of Dream pilots prepare for their shifts. They had chosen 6 people, working in pairs, one awake and one asleep at all times, rotating every 4 hours to maintain natural sleep cycles. "First team ready," Lisa reported. She would be coordinating from Earth, making sure nobody pushed themselves too hard. Bill and Mary are in sleep pods, Dave and Anna are at the controls. The remaining 2 pilots, James and Kate, would take the middle shift. All 6 had trained for months, learning to work with their natural rhythms while consciously directing their dream space abilities. Blue stood beside Tom, his skin showing swirling patterns of excitement and worry. "No species has ever attempted space travel this way." "Are you certain about this?" "No," Tom admitted. "But that's what makes us human. We dream, we try, we explore." The countdown began. In their sleep pods, Bill and Mary's brain patterns showed they had entered the dream state. At their stations, Dave and Anna closed their eyes, maintaining conscious contact with fold space while staying awake. "Field generation starting," Jack announced from his monitoring station. "Dream space patterns are perfect. Better than our test runs." Tom watched the readings in amazement. The sleeping pilots were generating the base fold space field naturally, while the awake pilots shaped and directed it. Working together, they created something neither group could manage alone. "Target locked," Dave reported. "Jupiter's orbit in one jump." General Mills, watching from the back of the room, stepped forward. "You're sure about the safety protocols?" "Triple-checked," Lisa assured him. "Any sign of strain, and we abort immediately." "But look at their patterns, they're all staying within natural limits." "Launch in 10 seconds, Jack called out. 9, 8. Tom held his breath. They had tested the theory, run countless simulations, but this was different. This was real. 3, 2, 1. The ship disappeared. For 3 long seconds, nothing happened. Then the sensors lit up. "Jump successful," Jack shouted. "They're in Jupiter's orbit." The room erupted in cheers, but Tom kept his eyes on the medical readings. All pilots showed normal patterns, the sleeping pair still in natural dream state, the awake pair maintaining steady consciousness. "How do you feel?" Lisa asked through the comm. "It's beautiful," Anna replied. "Nothing like the simulations. We can feel the fold space around us, but it's not overwhelming. It's like a perfect dream," Dave finished. "One you don't want to wake up from, but know you have to." The ship spent 2 hours studying Jupiter's moons before preparing for the return jump. As planned, they woke Bill and Mary, letting Dave and Anna take their rest shift while James and Kate handled the conscious control. But something unexpected happened during the second jump. "These readings," Jack said, frowning at his screen. "The field is different. Stronger." Tom leaned in to look. The fold space field had indeed changed. It was more stable, more efficient, using less energy than the first jump. The pilots, Lisa realized. They're learning from each other's experiences. The sleeping pair's dreams are incorporating what the first pair learned while awake. Blue's skin rippled with patterns they'd never seen before. This is unprecedented. They're not just using fold space, they're evolving with it. The ship reappeared in Earth orbit right on schedule. Medical checks showed all pilots healthy, their brain patterns normal. But their dream space abilities had grown stronger, more refined. It's like learning a dance, Kate tried to explain during the debriefing. Each pair learns from the one before. The sleepers dream about what the waking pilots discover, and the waking pilots understand what the dreamers touch naturally. This discovery changed everything. They had expected humans to simply use their dream abilities, but instead, they were growing, adapting, becoming better at working with fold space with each jump. "We need to expand the program," General Mills said. "Start training more teams." But Tom saw something else in the data. Look at these patterns. They're not just learning about fold space. They're learning about something else, something deeper. Lisa studied the readings. "The space between spaces," she said quietly. "In our dreams, we're not just touching the folds in spacetime. We're touching something underneath it all." Blue moved closer to the screens, all four eyes focused intently. "The fundamental layer. My people have theorized about it for centuries, but we've never been able to reach it. Because you tried to force your way there with machines," Tom realized. "But human dreams naturally drift down to that level every night. We just never remembered it when we woke up." The pilots' reports seemed to confirm this. They spoke of seeing patterns beneath patterns, of understanding space and time in ways they couldn't quite explain while awake. Their dreams were touching something more fundamental than fold space itself. "That's why the other species failed," Lisa said suddenly. "They tried to force their way down to that level. But we can only reach it by letting go, by dreaming naturally." The implications were staggering. Humanity's journey to the stars wasn't just about traveling through space, it was about understanding the very nature of reality itself. And they could only do it by respecting their natural cycles of sleep and waking, of touching the infinite and then returning to normal space. "So what's our next step?" General Mills asked. Tom looked at the ship, still floating peacefully in orbit. "We keep dreaming," he said. "We keep exploring. But most importantly, we keep waking up. Because it's the rhythm between touching infinity and returning to Earth that makes us who we are." Lisa nodded, already working on plans for the next flight. "And we make sure everyone understands, this isn't about conquering space or controlling dreams. It's about learning to dance with the universe itself." As the team began preparing for future missions, Tom couldn't help but smile. Humanity had finally found its place in the cosmos, not as conquerors or even explorers, but as dreamers who had learned to bring their dreams into the waking world. The universe, it seemed, had been waiting for a species that knew how to sleep. 3 months after the first successful flight, the International Dream Center had transformed into something that looked more like a cross between a space agency and a sleep research facility. Hundreds of dream pilots now trained there, preparing for missions that would take humanity further into space than ever before. But Tom Reed's attention was focused on something else entirely. In a special section of the facility, Lisa and a small team of researchers were investigating the fundamental layer they had discovered beneath fold space. "Look at this," Lisa said, pointing to a new set of readings. She had just woken up from a carefully monitored dream session. "The patterns go deeper than we thought." Tom studied the data. The brain scans showed levels of activity they had never seen before, touching areas of fold space that even Blue's people hadn't known existed. "It's like a library," Lisa explained, trying to put her experience into words. "Not just of space and time, but of everything. The basic rules that make up reality itself." Blue and his team of alien scientists watched with growing amazement as more data came in. "In all our years of research, we never imagined this was possible," Blue admitted. "We thought fold space was the deepest layer of reality we could reach." "That's because you were looking with machines," Tom said. But dreams can go anywhere. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. One of the younger dream pilots, a former artist named Mike, started drawing what he saw in the fundamental layer. His sketches showed strange, beautiful patterns that looked like a cross between mathematical equations and flowing art. These aren't just pictures, Jack realized, comparing the drawings to their fold space readings. They're maps. Maps of how reality fits together. The discovery sparked a new approach. Instead of trying to understand the fundamental layer with scientific instruments, they began asking dreamers to share what they experienced through art, music, and stories. A pattern emerged. Each dreamer saw the same basic structure, but from different angles, like people describing the same building from different windows. When they combined all these perspectives, something incredible began to take shape. "It's a language," Lisa announced one morning, after spending weeks analyzing the combined reports. "The fundamental layer isn't just a place or a force, it's a language that describes how everything works." Blue's skin showed patterns of deep thought. A language that your dreams can understand naturally. That's why human minds can process it while our computers cannot. But understanding this language brought its own challenges. The first warning sign came when one of the research team members, Dr. Harris, started speaking in strange patterns after a deep dream session. "The walls," he kept saying, "the walls of reality are thin here. I can see through them." They quickly pulled him back to normal consciousness, but the incident raised serious concerns. They were pushing into territory that no species had ever explored before. "We need to be careful," Tom warned during an emergency meeting. "We're not just touching the surface of fold space anymore. We're looking at the code that runs the universe itself." Lisa agreed, but her eyes showed excitement rather than fear. "That's why we need to keep going. Think about it, if we can understand this language, we might be able to do more than just travel through space. We might be able to understand how reality itself works." The military representatives at the meeting perked up at this idea, but Tom quickly stepped in. "This isn't about power or control. The fundamental layer isn't something we can use or manipulate. It's something we need to understand and respect. Like the difference between learning a language and trying to rewrite it," Blue suggested. "Exactly," Tom nodded. "We're not here to change the rules of reality. We're here to learn how to read them." They established new protocols for deep dream research. No one would attempt to reach the fundamental layer alone. Dreamers would work in pairs, then groups, sharing the mental load and keeping each other anchored in normal space. The results were remarkable. Working together, dream teams began to grasp concepts that had puzzled physicists for centuries. They saw how gravity and quantum mechanics fit together, how time and space bent and flowed, how the basic forces of the universe worked in harmony. But the most surprising discovery came from a group of children who had been allowed to participate in simple dream exercises. "They're not just seeing the language," Lisa reported, "watching their brain patterns. They're playing with it. Like it's the most natural thing in the world." Tom watched the children's dreams create patterns that adult researchers had struggled for months to understand. "Maybe that's the key. We've been trying to study this like scientists, but we need to approach it like children, with wonder and acceptance rather than analysis." This new approach changed everything. Instead of trying to decode the fundamental layer piece by piece, they began to experience it as a whole. Dream teams learned to flow with the patterns they found there, understanding them through intuition rather than logic. Blue's people were fascinated. "Our entire civilization is built on technology and analysis," he said. "But you humans, you can simply dream your way to understanding." The breakthrough came during a routine deep dream session. A team of 6 dreamers, working in perfect sync, touched something in the fundamental layer that no one had expected. "It's alive," Lisa whispered when they woke up. "The language, the patterns, everything we've been studying. It's all alive. Not like us," not like anything we understand, but alive. The monitors showed something extraordinary. The dreamers hadn't just observed the fundamental layer, they had communicated with it. And it had responded. "This changes everything," Tom said, looking at the readings. "We're not just exploring space anymore. We're not even just learning the rules of reality. We're meeting the consciousness behind those rules." Blue's skin showed colors they had never seen before. "In all our history, in all our science, we never imagined this was possible. We thought the universe was a machine we could understand with enough study. But you humans. We just had to sleep on it," Tom smiled. As the team prepared to explore this new discovery, Tom couldn't help but think about how far they had come. What had started as a simple investigation into human sleep patterns had led them to the deepest mysteries of existence itself. And they had gotten there not through force or technology, but through humanity's most basic activity, dreaming. "Ready for the next phase?" Lisa asked, preparing for another session. Tom looked at the teams of dreamers, the alien scientists, and the children drawing pictures of fundamental reality, and nodded. "Time to see what else we can dream up." 1 year had passed since the aliens first arrived and discovered humanity's dream ability. Tom Reed stood at the observation window of the International Dream Center, watching Earth's first official dream-powered exploration fleet prepare for launch. "It's hard to believe how far we've come," Lisa said, joining him at the window. "From thinking dreams were just random brain activity to understanding our connection to the universe itself." Blue approached them, his skin showing the calm patterns they'd learned to recognize as happiness. "My people have a confession to make," he said. "We didn't find Earth by accident." Tom turned to face him. "What do you mean?" "We were drawn here. Our instruments detected unusual patterns in spacetime around your planet. Now we know what they were, the collective dreams of billions of humans, touching fold space every night." Jack rushed into the room, excitement clear on his face. "The children's program just made another breakthrough. You need to see this." In the children's dream lab, a group of young dreamers had discovered something new. While adults had learned to read the language of reality, children had started to sing with it. "Listen," Jack said, playing back the recording. The sound was beautiful and strange, a harmony of children's voices mixing with something deeper, something that seemed to come from reality itself. The monitors showed fold space patterns moving in sync with the song. "They're not just communicating with the universe," Lisa realized. "They're teaching us how to join the cosmic symphony." Tom watched as the pattern spread, touching other dreamers around the world. Humanity wasn't just learning to use their dream power anymore, they were learning to be part of something greater. "Your species has surpassed everything we imagined possible," Blue said. "You don't just touch fold space or read the language of reality. You dream with it, dance with it, sing with it." The launch countdown began. Unlike their first test flight, this mission would take human dream ships to the edges of known space. But more importantly, it would take human dreamers deeper into the consciousness they had discovered within reality itself. "Ready for launch," the mission controller announced. Tom looked at the ships, each one carrying teams of dreamers working in perfect shifts. They would sleep, dream, and explore, maintaining the natural rhythm that made humans unique in the universe. "We never needed to conquer space," Tom said quietly. "We just needed to remember how to dream with it." The ships disappeared in flashes of light, carrying humanity's dreamers to the stars. But everyone knew the greatest journey wasn't through space, it was through the dreams that connected all things. Blue's skin showed a pattern they had never seen before. "My people came looking for new technologies, new ways to force our way through space. Instead, we found something far more precious." "What's that?" Lisa asked. "We found a species that could teach us how to dream again." As the exploration fleet ventured into deep space, Earth itself was changing. More and more people were awakening to their natural abilities, learning to balance their dreams with waking life. The universe wasn't just something to study or explore, it was something to experience, to feel, to dream with. So what happens next? Jack asked. Tom smiled, watching the data flow in from millions of dreamers around the world. We keep dreaming. We keep exploring. But most importantly, we keep remembering to wake up. Because that's what makes us human, the ability to touch infinity in our dreams, then return to tell the story. Lisa nodded, already preparing for her next dream session. And we remember that sometimes the greatest power isn't in forcing things to change, but in learning to dance with them as they are. The universe, it seemed, had been waiting for a species that knew how to do both, to dream big enough to touch the infinite, yet humble enough to respect the natural rhythms of existence. Humanity, with its simple need for sleep, had turned out to be exactly what the cosmos needed. And somewhere in the depths of space, human dreamers were teaching the universe how to sing.